As of late, the boxing superstar turned down the Irishman's offer of 2 fights for $200 million. However, it looks like the American wants to fight the MMA legend. In a recent live stream, boxing superstar Terence Crawford looked like he was getting closer to taking Conor McGregor's $200 million offer for the fights. It was said by McGregor that the boxing champion turned down the chances to meet him, but said he didn't want to fight in MMA, so talks fell through. Crawford is very smooth, and he also comes from a wrestling family. The Irishman said that when talks of a possible 2-fight deal came up, McGregor brought up Crawford's less well-known skills, showing that he was good at more than one type of fighting. McGregor also said, "You know, they talk to me about fights all the time. I've already boxed a boxer, and the best fighter in MMA is me. I'm sure you understand, Conor McGregor's confidence in his skills has always been one of his defining traits, and here it's no different. Having already met Floyd Mayweather in the boxing ring, he sees himself as the one fighter who transcends both sports. McGregor stepping back into a boxing match isn't a novelty. It's simply another chapter in his storied career by saying the best boxer in MMA is me." McGregor wants to be known as a one-of-a-kind hybrid talent who can not only compete with Crawford but maybe even beat him in both areas. In addition, McGregor said, "I make the most power. We were talking back and forth about a 2-fight deal. He rings up Crawford in front of me the day after the fights. I get on the phone and say, 'Courtney, they're here talking about you and me fighting a 2-fight deal. MMA first, boxing second. I know you have an extensive wrestling background and balls the size of a Bengal tiger. They're asking for a fight. It'll be hundreds of millions on the line. What's up?' I said. And then he goes, 'I don't fancy taking a kickoff.'" Conor McGregor, that's what he said. You have to respect that McGregor's account of the conversation highlights his attempt to lure Crawford into a 2-fight deal that would start in the MMA cage. He was clearly looking to push Crawford out of his comfort zone, knowing the challenges a boxer would face against an MMA fighter by referencing Crawford's wrestling background and the massive financial rewards on offer. McGregor tried to appeal to both pride and profit. However, Crawford's response showed his caution, as he wasn't eager to risk an MMA bout even with the potential for massive earnings. Both fighters recognized the serious stakes involved.
Yeah,
Good job. Good job.
Like that. Halfway down.
Despite turning down the chance to potentially secure a life-changing payday, but flirted with the idea of accepting the 2 fights on Instagram in a recent comment uploaded on the social media platform. McGregor wrote, "With tremendous respect to all, but Crawford, $100 million in a fight, 1 in MMA, 1 boxing, $200 million, replying to the comment. It would appear the American is now licking his lips at the thought of a 2-fight deal with the Irishman Ethan Notaries. "I'm tempted," he said. Crawford's reply seemed to signal a shift in his thinking, teasing the possibility that he might be warming up to the idea of the 2-fight deal while he had previously rejected the MMA bout. His playful response hinted that the massive payday could be enough to reconsider. Fans are now left wondering if this back and forth will turn into a reality, with Crawford seemingly more open to facing McGregor on both platforms following the brief exchange on Instagram. Crawford has again taken to social media to declare his interest in potentially stepping foot inside the cage in the video, but revealed he was practicing on the mats and once again issued another call out of McGregor.
We in here working. Getting back on the mat. Getting back on the mat. Getting back on the mat. Hey, Conor, getting back on the mat. Stay tuned, baby. Stay tuned. We work.
Crawford's declaration about getting back on the mat adds fuel to the speculation that he might be ready to embrace the challenge of fighting McGregor in MMA. While the American champion is best known for his boxing prowess, his wrestling background could give him a fighting chance in the octagon by publicly addressing McGregor. Crawford seems to be teasing fans with the possibility that he's preparing for something big. This statement not only revives the potential for their crossover battle but also raises the stakes, hinting that Crawford might be serious about stepping into unfamiliar territory. The video has since gone viral on social media, with McGregor himself even responding to the short clip. The 36-year-old wrote, "Is this you accepting the fights now, my brother Terence? MMA is Saudi for Riyadh season," followed then by a boxing bout. Tremendous Terence. "Well done. I accept at Turkey Alalshik. It's on baby Riyadh season with the new Bruce Lee Conor McGregor." Turkey Alalshik has been key to the continued surge of elite heavyweight action in boxing. He struck a sponsorship deal with 2 major US boxing promoters in Top Rank and Golden Boy Promotions, and also sponsored the UFC's massive event at the Sphere in Las Vegas. UFC boss Dana White told us in an interview before that we should expect great synergy between himself and Ali. with both athletes enthusiastic about striking an agreement. It may just be a matter of where, when, and how, and Turki Alalshik could help because of his relationships with Crawford and White. Conor also mentioned boxing's pound-for-pound #1 tremendous Terence C. Just wow, what a show. You've never seen these moves. I am a great martial artist. I am the maestro. Let's go. I will show McGregor's enthusiastic response to Crawford's viral video has only added more excitement to the potential showdown. His bold declaration that both fights in MMA, bouts in Saudi Arabia and a boxing match are on the table ignite speculation that the crossover event could be closer to reality. Crawford is coming off a successful showing in his last fight against Israel Madoff in August, in which he won the WBA super welterweight title. He was also given the WBO interim title in the process, and as a result, it was made mandatory for WBO and WBC champion Sebastian Fonder. As for McGregor, the Notorious hasn't fought since losing to foe Dustin Poirier at UFC 264. 3 years ago, he was supposed to fight Michael Chandler in his comeback to the UFC but pulled out of his UFC 303 clash due to an injury, speaking to a blood elbow at a bare-knuckle fighting championships event in Morocco last weekend. The Irishman suggested he be set to fight Dan Hooker in Saudi Arabia. In a brief exchange, the BKFC shareholder retorted February 1st, adding Dan Hooker when asked his opponent Rob Acosta weighed in on the highly anticipated Terence Crawford vs. Conor McGregor talks with a bold take on how both fights would play out. His viewpoint, which stems from his own wrestling experience, adds a fresh angle to the conversation as he confidently backs Crawford in both the boxing ring and the octagon. Acosta started by making a strong claim. I got Crawford beating Conor McGregor in both boxing and MMA. I got him. His belief comes from the way fights begin on the feet, and Esta emphasized that Crawford's striking ability would give him the edge. He expanded on why he thinks Crawford would win every fight that starts standing, and Conor McGregor is not going to be able to stand with Crawford. I got a wrestling background. I wrestled in Philly and was ranked 2 years in a row, and I've seen Terence mess around in movies. He really knows what he's doing. A seasoned wrestler himself acknowledged that while Crawford's wrestling experience may not be against top-level opponents, he thinks Crawford's skills could be enough to neutralize McGregor's attempts to grapple hostile. He then pointed out McGregor's vulnerability in grappling battles. Every time Conor McGregor did get into fights, he got into wrestling matches. You know he got choked out too. I'm not saying Terence will choke him out, but if Terence can prevent Conor from taking him to the ground by using wrestling, he has to force him to stand. And Ostia emphasized that if the fight stays standing, Crawford's superior boxing skills would overweigh McGregor regardless of the setting, giving Crawford the advantage. Furthermore, he credited McGregor but reinforced his point. Don't get me wrong, I think Conor McGregor in MMA is a great fighter. I'm not downplaying him at all. He's a strong villain. He changed the MMA world and made it more of an entertainment thing, but bro, we're talking about 4 gloves in Crawford in a cage where he can still do his thing. The only thing I'd worry about are the leg swings. And Osta recognized McGregor's MMA legacy but reiterated his faith in Crawford's chances, pointing out that the only area where McGregor could pose a threat is with his leg kicks, which would be new for Crawford to handle. Jamal Herring shared his thoughts on Terence Crawford's choice to avoid an MMA fight with Conor McGregor, expressing his understanding and respect for Crawford's stance. Herring recognized Crawford's self-awareness. I respect Bud because he actually came out and was like, I'm not trying to get kicked all over my elbows, and he knows like we as fighters deep down, we know our lane. You know what I'm saying? Herring stressed that fighters are aware of their strengths and limitations. He pointed out how boxers often joke about dominating MMA fighters in the ring, but very few are willing to move over into the octagon due to the high risk involved. He elaborated on Crawford's choice to stick with boxing. We sit there and joke about how we beat up on MMA fighters when they do come over here and get in that ring, but again, you don't see a lot of boxers trying to jump into that octagon. Either way, Bud was like, you know what? Especially when we feel like we can take less risk to our limbs in the boxing ring. Herring highlighted that Crawford's choice was about avoiding unnecessary damage while still being able to secure major paydays in his own sport, where the risk of injury is more controlled. Herring also gave Crawford credit for prioritizing his health but also chasing financial opportunities. He said, I'm not mad at Bud, man. He probably thought, hey, go get it another way, but again, if it's like, yo, that's 100 minutes is both ways, then hey, go get your money. But Herring ultimately supported Crawford's decision to avoid the octagon while acknowledging that the massive payday might still tempt him to explore the opportunity even if it means taking calculated risk. Herring highlighted that while Crawford has the strength and wrestling background, he is fully aware of the differences between boxing and MMA.
He can wrestle. You know, Bud is very physically strong, you know what I mean, in that department. But again, he's still like, it's still a different. He knows it. Like, Bud's not stupid. He's still a different ballpark. But again, if you wanna grapple with him, he gonna be down with you too.
Herring acknowledged Crawford's understanding of the vast differences between the two sports, but he also credited Crawford's willingness to adapt if needed despite the differences in the two sports. Herring expressed confidence in Crawford's ability to handle himself if the fight went to the ground, showing his faith in Crawford's versatility. In a surprising moment that brought together two of combat sports' biggest stars, Terence Crawford and Conor McGregor watched Anthony Joshua's shocking knockout defeat to Daniel Dubois. Crawford, the reigning pound-for-pound king in boxing, and McGregor, the outspoken MMA icon, both appeared to be in disbelief as they witnessed the stunning conclusion to the bout. This unexpected crossover of worlds added more intrigue to their own looming fight negotiations. The fighters are in completely different periods of their pro careers, as though Crawford is on a high with an all-time welterweight thrashing over Errol Spence Jr. in 2023, preceding a comfortable super welterweight win over Israel Madero this year. McGregor has not fought since suffering a broken leg in the latest installment of his three-fight rivalry with Dustin Poirier in 2021. Regardless, because of their name value and their respective fighting disciplines, it could prove to be a monster at both the gate and the box office. Crawford has seemingly been laser-focused on super fights, only to weight classes separate Bud from Saul Alvarez, but the American appeared willing to box the unified super middleweight ruler Canelo Alvarez, who thus far seems uninterested in the fight, recently mentioning a prospective rematch with Dimitri Bivol. Instead, this left Crawford to contemplate a verbal two-fight deal for McGregor before embracing the notion of a potential showdown. Terence Crawford and Conor McGregor engaged in a candid conversation about their respective sports, drawing lines, and where they felt comfortable stepping in. Crawford opened up about the negotiations, explaining the initial offer. "They offered me the fight," he said during an interview with Bernie the Boxer. "He also added me, and Conor got on the phone and started politicking to try and figure something out. Man, I'm not getting in any exploitive octagon with you, so you can be kicking an elbow at me." This moment showcased Crawford's clear stance. While he's a versatile and dominant force in the boxing ring, stepping into McGregor's MMA world where kicks, elbows, and grappling reign were a step too far for the champion. Crawford's words reflect the mutual understanding and respect that fighters of their caliber hold for each other's sport. McGregor's response was respectful. As Crawford recounted, he was like, "I respect that you respect my sport just like I respect your sport. You understand that if you got the octagon with me, you would be at a disadvantage. Just like if I got in a boxing ring with you, I'd be at a disadvantage." McGregor's acknowledgement of the stark differences between the two disciplines highlighted the delicate balance of transitioning between boxing and MMA, something only a few, including McGregor himself, have dared to do. The Irishman's competitive spirit wasn't deterred, as his past experience fighting Floyd Mayweather in a boxing ring proved, but he also recognized the risks involved. McGregor stayed enthusiastic, pushing for the fight, saying it's going to be hundreds of millions on the line. "What's up?" In his own talk with Dual Bits, McGregor added. Crawford said, "I don't want to take a kick. You got to accept that." While the initial negotiations acknowledged the risks, McGregor's excitement about the financial and promotional potential of this massive cross-sport clash stayed a driving force behind the talks. Both fighters knew they would be entering each other's territory, with McGregor having no problem with boxing or MMA, but it was clear that Crawford wanted to keep the fun fight within the limits of his own expertise. After showcasing his intense sprint workout, Terence Crawford's commitment to his conditioning becomes crystal clear. The clip shows Crawford's relentless work ethic, focusing on his explosive speed and endurance qualities that have made him one of the most feared fighters in the sport. His training isn't just about raw power. It's about learning the physical and mental endurance needed to outlast opponents in the ring. This sprint session serves as a reminder that Crawford's preparation goes beyond just boxing technique, stressing the all-around athleticism that makes him a complete fighter. The legendary sparring session between Andre Ward and Terence Crawford has long been a topic of discussion among boxing fans. Both fighters, known for their high IQ technical skills and undefeated streaks, pushed each other to the limits in these private meetings. Andre Ward, a former pound-for-pound king, brought his mastery of defense ring generalship and the ability to adapt mad fight, while Crawford, a younger, more aggressive fighter, showed his versatility and relentless style.
He said he's gonna go 2 or 3. He said 3. Today I get some rounds with the GOAT, one of the GOATs.
What's up?
This sparring experience has been essential for Crawford, sharpening his ability to handle fighters with diverse skill sets. Learning from Ward's defensive strategies and tactical approach has undoubtedly helped Crawford grow as a boxer, especially in handling high-pressure situations and controlling the pace of a fight. This training can play a significant role in Crawford's future matchups, especially as he prepares for opponents with unique fighting styles or those who can make in-fight adjustments, just like Ward did during his career.
Good round, good round.
As Crawford looks ahead to his next fights, whether it's against elite boxers or crossover athletes like Conor McGregor, those intense sessions with Ward provide him with a deeper knowledge of patience, timing, and ring control. Ward's guidance will help Crawford stay composed, under pressure, counter effectively, and make smart adjustments, ensuring he stays at the top of his game in any scenario. Terence Crawford's tireless preparation and explosive training regimen underline his unwavering commitment to staying at the top of the sport. His work ethic is unmatched, and it's this same dedication that would fuel any possible matchup with Conor McGregor, whether it's speed, power, or wrestling. Crawford's physical and mental conditioning sets him apart, making him a dangerous opponent in any setting. With McGregor's bold dare now gained in steam, this fight could become a monumental crossover event uniting boxing and MMA fans in anticipation. The real question is, will Crawford truly step outside his comfort zone, or will McGregor be the one to fold under the bright lights of the boxing ring? For now, the two are keeping the world on edge, teasing the chance of a clash that could redefine both sports. One thing's for sure, if it happens, it will be nothing short of epic.